Hi, this is Stevie. This is a follow-up video to the one that I posted last, which was my drawing of these two horses, and it's called Best Buddies. And when I did that video, it was such a long video that I didn't want to talk about the lettering in that video, but I did want to show you how I did it because I know several people are interested in doing lettering. So just to start out, I'll show you what my process was to get to this point. But this is, when I put this in, first I did it with pencil. I drew it with pencil. And then I used my Micron 03 pen to outline the letters. This is a Micron pen. And this is permanent ink, that's important. And then I filled it in with watercolor. I have a Princeton Velvet Touch number 1. And when I look at how thin these letters are, I probably used my number 1 to do that. So just wanted to let you know that before I start. So what was my process in doing this? Well, I did the painting first. And then I took a piece of scratch paper, tracing paper, and I'm going to put this on a piece of white paper so that it shows, so you can see it. But you can see all sorts of designs on this paper. Different types of letters and different, I'll call it fonts, just variations of a font, but different fonts. And what I was trying to do was to fit it in the space that I had, just that little space. So the very first thing I did was to put my tracing paper down and say, okay, how much space would I have? I didn't want it to go right up next to the edge of my sketchbook. And I didn't want it really to get into the watercolor that was there. So I just made this little triangular shape to show me how much space I would have to do that. So then, put this here. I'm hoping you can see this pencil. I know it's hard to see pencil on a camera. I knew that I had to fit the letters into the space that I had. And here I put in the word best. I just drew that in with pencil, and you can see that was way too big. I guess I knew that it would be. I was just fiddling around. And also I had to decide which font would be best for this particular piece. And I tried a little bit more of a cursive font, and that probably would have worked okay, but I don't know, I wanted it to be a little more playful than that, so I just didn't bother with that idea. So then I tried some other things. This is a Tombow pen, the blue. Tombow pens they're like watercolor, water-soluble pens. They are not permanent, so once you put a Tombow pen down, if you get any water on it, it's going to spread, so just be aware of that. Unlike my Micron pen, which is permanent, and you can put water over that and nothing will happen. So I was fiddling around. I kind of like this font, actually. It's kind of a playful looking font. And I thought that the blue lettering would be good because I didn't have a lot of color in this painting. My paintings are usually very colorful. And the only thing I had done to this painting, when I did the painting in the video, my sky ended up being pretty light because watercolor lightens as it dries. So after I did the video, I went back in with a little bit more of the cobalt blue mixed with manganese blue and just put in more sky. It darkened it up a little bit just to give some color to the painting. So then I thought, well, with the blue sky, maybe the blue lettering would look good. And that was my idea there. And I didn't like just the Tombow pen by itself. So then I thought, well, what if I indicated a shadow? And I made the shadow with my Micron pen. And I kind of like that too, but it was big and it wouldn't have fit in that little space. It would have been too big. I would have had to go smaller. So then I decided to look at some other ideas. And I have this set of Elegant Writer pens, Speedball, Elegant Writer, and they sell these at most craft stores and online. And these pens are great. This is one of them. Elegant Writer. One they have calligraphy type of tips. So what that means is it's a thick line. And if I turn it the other way, it's a thin line. See the difference there? And so one tip is like that. Then the other tip has a notch in it so that it makes two lines. So if I did a letter like with this side of the pen, let's say I'm going to do an A. I'm doing it sideways because I'm left-handed, and when I do calligraphy, that's how I do calligraphy. Anyway, this is not a great A, but you can get the idea. It's just a little fancier way of doing calligraphy. So each of the Elegant Writer pens comes with that. So I considered two colors. I have a whole set of colors, but to go with this painting, I thought either the orange would be good, which is this color here. This is the orange, or the blue, and that's this color here. So I did both of them in a calligraphy type of font, and for me, again, I turn the paper sideways to do that. Right-handed people don't do that. The idea is with a calligraphy, a flat edge pen, you have to write at a 45-degree angle to get the right thicks and thins. And with being left-handed, it doesn't work out right. But years ago when I learned calligraphy, someone in the class gave me that hint. They said, just write downhill, write sideways. And for some reason that clicked with me, and that's how I've always done it. So then I played around with, Best Buddies. And this is just in a basic, really not even, well, it is calligraphy, but not any particular font. So just something like this. Whoops, that's too close together. That's why you practice first. Anyway, that's how I did this. And then after I did the lettering, the one in the orange, I went back with the Micron pen to do the shadows. And on shadows, you generally do them on the right side of each piece of the letter and at the bottom. So the idea is do it on the right and at the bottom, or the other option is do it on the left and the top. It depends on how you want the lighting to look on a shadow. So I did like that, but it wasn't enough color for me. So I knew I wanted something more colorful. And you can see that I played around with, what I did was I actually drew the calligraphy font here, the thicks and the thins. And I did that just with my pencil. And when you're doing a font that you want to look like calligraphy, I'm going to do the word best. So let's say you have B, E, S, T. And let's say you want to turn that into the thick and thin calligraphy type of font. So I would do the B here. Here's the idea. Your downstrokes are thick. Your upstrokes are thin. That's really the basis of calligraphy. So downstrokes are thick, upstrokes are thin. So this would be a downstroke, that's thick. Here, this is a downstroke, and this is a downstroke. So that's the idea behind that. So here on the E, see, that's a downstroke. This is a downstroke too, but this is just my artistic license. I didn't want to put another line on there, so I just leave the E alone. Oh, except here I could do, that's a downstroke too, so I could do a little one there. The S is hard, I think, but the idea is here is a downstroke and here's a downstroke. This is why I like to do it in pencil first. See that? And then for the T, here's the downstroke on the T. This is not a downstroke, so you don't make that thick. So there you have it. So I decided that's what I wanted to work with. Then I thought, well, do I want to make it a little more playful and have some of the letters going up and some going down? So I did play around with that, and I do like that a lot, but I didn't have that much room. So I decided to just keep them all on the same line. You know what? I'm going to do this on quickly on a piece of watercolor paper so you can actually see how I did it. I painted it with watercolor paint, so I want you to see that. And I'm guessing here, I'm just looking at my sample. to guess at how big it's going to be. Something like this. Okay, so now, put this aside. I'll do it on here. So my word best can go there, and then buddies can go here. And you just have to adjust the size of your lettering to the space that you have. So here we go again. B, E, S, T. And always check your spelling. You'd be amazed at how easy it is to misspell something. I'll fix that S. This is rough paper, so it's kind of wobbly. Okay, best buddies. B, U, D, D, I, E, S. And I made that circle for the I because I know I'm going to make it wider. Okay, so back here to the B. And remember, the downstrokes get the thickness. The S, I'm gonna fix that S a little bit because I don't have much room there. And this is why you do it in pencil first. Have to make that a little more open. There, okay. S, and then T, my downstroke gets thick. And not the cross on the T. Okay, then here's my B for buddies. And I did put a little serif on the bottom of this B. You can't really see that. Downstroke, downstroke. Serif on the bottom. Serif goes to the left on the top. Okay, and on the D, I'm just rounding that up a bit. Downstroke, downstroke. That's a little thin, but I can fix that with my pen when I go over it with pen. Okay, the D, my spacing isn't good here, but I'm not gonna take the time to fix that right now. Did the I already. E, downstroke. Got to open that up a bit. Downstroke there. I'll represent that more with when I do it with my pen. And then on the S, downstroke, downstroke. There you go. But I can change that too, and I'll do that as I do it with the pen. I'll show you. So I'm going to go over the B. I want to be sure not to get these letters too thin, so sometimes you'll see me going outside of those lines. I'm going to move this book before I get something on it. Okay, so downstroke here. Oops, that happens too. Okay, downstroke, downstroke. And then my E. And if I have room, I'm going to open those letters up a little bit as I do them in ink. S. T. And notice when I did this little hook on the T, that's not thick, it's thin because it's not a downstroke. Okay, buddies, B. A little serif on that B. Downstroke, downstroke. And I'm saying serif, and I hope you know what that means. A serif alphabet is one that has the little lines on the bottom of each letter, kind of like, I think like typewriter writing or something like that. Sans serif would be a font like Arial on your computer. No serifs, no little things at the bottom of the letters. Okay. Buddies, BU, downstroke, downstroke. D. I'm going to move this over slightly so that there's not a big space between the D's. If you haven't done a lot of lettering, I would recommend you do that in pencil first. And downstroke here. Make this a little fatter. D. Then the I. E. It's hard to see the ink over this pencil, but once I erase the ink or erase the pencil, you'll be able to see it better. And I think on the S, I'm going to change it slightly and just make it bigger. I'm going to drop it below the line. Best Buddies. There you go. So I wait just a moment, because even though this is a permanent pen, I have found if I don't wait just a moment to erase, I can end up smearing some of that ink. So now I can go ahead and erase all these lines. And you can use, this is a good white eraser. This is the Jerry's Artorama. I'm getting out one in a box here so you can see it. It's called the Vanish Eraser, and I really like this eraser. They last forever. You can get them from Jerry's Artorama or on Amazon online. Or you can use a kneaded eraser. I don't care too much for kneaded erasers. I just really like to get the job done with this. And then I have to get rid of those little bits in my little trash bag here. Have to make sure my surface is nice and clean. And I pressed pretty hard with the pencil, so you're going to still see that outline. I would be much more careful on a good piece of paper. Okay, so there I have the outline of Best Buddies. And when I did it on this book, on this page, you can see I had two colors. So I used my orange. This was transparent orange. That's a color by Schminke. And I really like the transparent color. And then the blue was Winsor blue, which is more of a blue-green, a dark blue. And so I thought to combine those two colors. They're complementary colors, so that always looks nice together. And then they reflect the colors in the painting as well. So that was how I decided on the colors. So I'll show you how I filled those in. I'm going to set my book aside so I don't splash any color on it. Open up my paints. And I still have the paint that I was using. Hopefully you can see that. I think you can. Okay, so I'm just going to spritz my paints real quick. I haven't used them today. This is the first time. I usually paint every day. Okay, there we go. And I'm going to find that real small, this is my #1 Velvet Touch Princeton brush, and I'm going to use this. Just, and I'll have a paper towel ready in my hand, just in case I need it. And one thing about these smaller brushes, like on a liner brush, when you dip your brush in the water, it gets a bead of water on it. And if you don't take that off, it's going to drip on your paper and make a mess. So anyhow, what I did was I went into my transparent orange with a pretty good amount of color. And then on each letter, I just pull down about halfway down each little section like this. Hope you can see that. And then I went to my other blue, which is the Winsor blue. I'm going to put that over here where you can see it. See how dark it is? And then I just painted that in, and see how they do spread, which is fine. They kind of blend together. Tombow pens will do that too, but the color is not as brilliant with the Tombow pens, and I find them much harder to control than this. I just noticed something on one of my letters. My T, I didn't finish it at the top. Okay, so there's the B. Now I'll move on to the next. And I got to where I was doing 2 letters at a time, so it's not so tedious. So you could do, the reason I didn't do more than that is I didn't want them to dry in between, because then you can't blend your color as much. So see how I did the S? I left room for the blue. So now I'm going to put a little blue here on the E, and then bring it up from the bottom. And that, my orange almost disappeared on that one. Did on here too. We'll try the T. Maybe I should go further down with the orange. You have to play around with this to see what works for you. Okay, that looks pretty good. My S is not very orange, nor is my E, but that's okay. I don't know if I can go back in with more orange color and just kind of straight orange and fix that. Not too much. Well, it looks pretty good. Okay, then on to the next letters. So I'm going to do the orange further down this time because the blue kind of takes it over. Okay, now on those, I'm going to make sure my brush is dry too. My brush may have been too wet when I did that before, which would make the color run. Oh, there we go. And you can see this lettering isn't perfect, but for what I'm doing here, it doesn't really matter. And to be really good at lettering, you really need to practice it every day. I don't. I do like to do lettering, but I don't practice it every day, and I should. When I did a lot of calligraphy, I did practice almost every day, and I was pretty good at it, but that was many years ago. But I still do quite a bit. I'll try and get one more letter in there, the other D. Oh, I forgot to do the line. Things you don't notice when you're doing it. I forgot the downstroke here. There. Now go back into my blue. You can see why you need a small brush to do this. You could use a liner brush too. I have done that. This is a little easier to control than a liner brush because the bristles are shorter. A liner brush, as you know, would be a little more floppy. But it's possible. I mean, I've done it. I'm even going to try to get both colors on that eye. I don't know if that'll work. We'll see. I'm trying to use drier color now when I pick up the blue so it doesn't spread so much. When you use the drier color, though, it doesn't move at all. You just have to kind of find that sweet spot. And here, what I could do, the way the S curves, I could do the orange on both ends and then do the blue in the middle. Or you could have done the blue on both ends. It doesn't matter. Just reverse it. I think there's too much paint here. Okay, there you go. So that's the idea, and I do like the vibrancy of the watercolor, even though it takes a little while to do it and it's risky. But I can see that I've got quite a few little mistakes in here, but I did it pretty quickly. But I just wanted to give you the idea of how to do that. And it's so much fun. And you know, there is a very good lettering artist on Facebook and YouTube. Her name is Lindsay Waltman Ostrom. Lindsay, Lindsay. Waltman Ostrom, Ostrom. And Lindsay if you go to her website, she sells several books and she has classes on lettering, on all kinds of lettering. Her website is creatorofcuteness.com, and she does a live session every morning on Facebook, I believe at 8 a.m. Pacific time. And if you want to learn how to do really whimsical lettering, tune into Lindsay, because she is a master at it. She's been doing it all of her adult life, and her work is really nice. So I encourage you to take a look at that too. But another good source is Pinterest. Pinterest has a lot of samples to follow, and just practice. That's how you get good at it, is just practice at it. So I hope you liked this video. Please give it a thumbs up and think about subscribing. And thanks so much for watching.